Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to DSP Sports Insightful Sports Commentary. I'm Don Stevens, and with me is David Beard. How you doing, Dave?
Don, it's great to be back with you, buddy.
It is good to be back. It's been a couple of weeks since we've done the show, and I think that's good because it's given me time to clean the cobwebs out of my head.
Yeah, well, it's a couple of weeks to do it.
Now, what we have here is the NASCAR season in full blast, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. hasn't won a single race yet. How do you feel about that?
Let me tell you, man, that race last weekend was awesome. And, I mean, when he took the white flag, and he was a good 8 seconds in front of Harvick, and it looked like this was it. I mean, people who don't even watch NASCAR were watching TV with me and, like, getting excited. And then third turn, he runs out of gas, and he slides in for a seventh-place finish. But, man, it was awesome for just 2 or 3 laps there. It looked like he was going to win it, but I knew it was going to be close. Actually, on Memorial Day weekend, the Indianapolis 500 and the NASCAR race were awesome. They both ended on the last lap the funny thing is they were both had the same sponsor, which is National Guard. So National Guard had the guy winning the Indianapolis 500. He crashed the last lap. And National Guard had Dale Jr., who ran out of gas on the last lap.
Wow.
Same day.
That is wild. So then who won that race, Dave?
Harvick.
Harvick has won another one, so he's won multiple races this year.
Yeah, and he won one lap again. He won one lap again, and he passed Dale Jr. because he ran out of gas.
Amazing. So now, is Tony Stewart listening to his crew chief yet? Because I noticed that he is in the top 10 in points.
I don't think so, man. I think he had a good week last week, but this is going to be my first week. I'm taking Stewart out of my picks this week.
Really?
I'm not seeing much from him.
All right, well, let's get to our picks. I'll go first this week, Dave, and then I'm going to talk about Kurt Busch. So right now, my picks for this next race is Carl Edwards, Dale Earnhardt, Kurt Busch, Matt Kenseth, Denny Hamlin, Jeff Gordon, Casey Kane, Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, and Greg Biffle. David Ruderman for the wreck, and I'm really hoping that Dale Earnhardt Jr. has a little bit of the mo going on, and that they can and that they're really in stride. And I'm going to pick him for the win this week.
Excellent. Okay, I got Kenseth, Edwards, Carl Edwards, Jimmy Johnson, Clint Boyer, Dale Jr., Kyle Busch, Jeff Gordon, Harvick, and Denny Hamlin. I got AJ Allmendinger to crash. And I have Dale Jr. winning too this week, Don.
Okay.
First time I think we've done that.
Yeah. I guess it is to pick the same guy.
I think he's due, man. He looked good last week.
Well, like I said, I've seen the highlights. I wasn't able to watch it because I was out doing the camping thing, and the TV cord would not reach. The power cord for the TV.
I'm putting Jamie McMurray in my top 10 this week because I'd really like to see him do well with everything going on in his hometown of Joplin, Missouri, and his childhood house being wiped out and what have you. So I'd really like to see him do well.
It's always good when someone does well. On a non-NASCAR note. On a high school sports note, there was this girl, and I don't remember her name, in Joplin. She was, while the tornadoes hit, she was at an event in another city. And she competed and was told, hey, a tornado is hitting Joplin. And she was like, well, we get hit with tornadoes all the time. So she continued to compete. But then what happened is she went back to Joplin and saw the complete and total devastation. I mean, that city was leveled.
Yeah.
And she decided for Joplin, because there's nothing she could have done in Joplin. She can't rebuild the city. She's a high school student, so she decided that she was going to go out and continue to compete in the state competition. Now, I don't know how she did, and I'm going to follow up on that maybe on the next show and say her name, because I don't know it off the top of my head, and I didn't write it down. But this girl is competing for Joplin High School. There is no Joplin High School. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
And one of our studio listeners asked me what sport, and the sport was track, and I think she's a javelin jumping type person. So she's got the big stick, and she runs, and this is a sports show, David, and I'm describing javelin jumping as the sport with the big stick.
The chick with the big stick.
Yeah, she's the chick from Joplin with the big stick, and she's spitting in the eye of the tornado. She's going to compete, and hopefully she does well for Joplin, because Joplin needs some good news, even if it's just sporting good news. Now let's get back to NASCAR. While we were on our hiatus, on our break, Kyle Busch proved once and again that he is one of the biggest douchebags on the planet by test driving a sports car through a neighborhood at like 125 to 150 miles per hour. And he didn't even
45 mile per hour zone.
Yeah, he didn't even, he got a ticket, but he didn't get, Dave, if you or I did that, we would have been in jail.
Oh, the law says in most states, if you're going 20 over, they can arrest you. Now, this guy is going almost 100 over. So, I mean, come on.
This is ridiculous. And the fact that NASCAR did nothing to punish him is just ludicrous.
Don? There's been cases in the past where guys got DUIs and speeding tickets like this, and they haven't. So it would be setting a new precedent. That's why they didn't do it.
Well, they should have. And here's the reason why. Because they have all of these fans out there, all these young guys that want to be drivers and they want to race fast. And this guy is sitting up here as a driver, racing fast on the track, and then he goes and he does something on the regular roads. And then he comes back, and these kids, what they see here now is they see that if you want to drive fast on the track, you're going to drive fast on the road.
Yeah.
And that's what they see, and it's ridiculous. So NASCAR should sit back and go, listen, your license should have been taken away. We're taking it away. We're not going to let you race. And those cops should be fired.
I think there's too much. I agree with you, Don, but I think they're looking at big picture and with the sponsorships of his car and what have you. So I think that they're making a money call on that one.
And the sponsorships of his car should have raised holy hell.
I'm surprised they did not.
Yeah,
I guess they like winning.
They like winning, and of course it brings me to the conclusion, just like I said on our DSP Sports Facebook page, that apparently what we have here is WWF in racing. We're going to use whatever silly crap. It's kayfabe, I think is what they call it in wrestling. Keep up the act, no matter what you're doing. These wrestlers, that when they leave the ring, when the Macho Man, God rest his soul, before he died of a heart attack driving his car, when he was out of the ring, he was still Macho Man Randy Savage. He lived that way until the end of his life, even though that wasn't his real last name. And he's doing kayfabe all the way up until till he dies. And that's what NASCAR is. See, that's what Kyle Busch was doing. Kyle Busch was being a prick off the racetrack, just like he is on the racetrack. And NASCAR doesn't punish him, and his sponsors don't punish him because it's kayfabe. They're a wrestling organization. It's less and the more and more I watch, the less and less I think it's a real sport.
Yeah, well, I like it, and I hope that they can clean that up because something needs to be done. I'm not ready to put NASCAR in the wrestling category yet because wrestling is fake, and if NASCAR was fake, Dale Jr. would be winning every week. So,
well, I agree with you there. I'm not ready to put it in that category yet either. I'm just leaning more towards that than I ever have in the past. Yeah. I also think about it. people are watching to see Dale Jr. win. They want to see Dale Jr. win, and they're tuning in the races with the hope that this will be the one that Dale Jr. is winning. Dale Jr. is a baby face, and all these heels are winning races. And and when he starts winning races, it's going to be big, and people are going to go crazy.
Yes, sir. You're not kidding.
They're going to go crazy. But yeah. So this whole Kyle Busch thing, it just blows my mind that I mean, God, and it seems like a contradiction to me because I'm like, you know what? The NFL shouldn't do anything about Cheeselesberger, because what he did wasn't football related, and it was just an allegation. What he did to that girl was just an allegation. No charges were filed, and nothing was proven. And I sit back and I'm like, well, is there a conflict between this? Because I want something to be done for Kyle Busch. Is it just because I have no general hatred for Cheeselesberger? But I think
that might be it, Don.
I do for Kyle Busch. And I sat down and I wrote it all out on a notebook, and it brought me to this conclusion right here. If Roethlisberger was going and beating the crap out of high school football players and endangering people's lives with street football, then the NFL should punish him.
Yeah.
What he was doing was totally unrelated to the game of NFL. What Kyle Busch was doing was not totally unrelated to the sport of NASCAR. But
I agree.
Whatever. You know, maybe I'm still wrong. This is just me venting. Dave, have you been paid?
You hate Kyle Busch. You hate Kyle Busch, just like you hate the Miami Heat.
I do hate the Miami Heat, but you know what? I want to say this before we get into the Miami Heat. If it happened to Dale Jr., I would feel just the same.
Good. You should.
Yeah. Now, tell me about what's going on in the NBA.
Well, we're tied up 1-1. As you know, in the beginning of the year, I picked the Miami Heat to win the championship. So, obviously it's not going to change now. But I am rooting with all of my heart for Mark Cuban's Dallas Mavericks. And last night they were down by 15 with like 8 minutes to go, and they come back and won the game last night in Miami, so that the Mavericks take away home court as they head back to Dallas for Game 3.
Good, so there is hope. Not all hope is lost.
Yes. I am the biggest Dallas Mavericks fan ever this week.
Help me, Obi-Wan Dallas. You're our only hope.
Dirk Nowitzki.
What was that?
Dirk. I'm a fan of Dirk. Dirk Nowitzki.
You're a fan of Dirk. Well, when's the next game on, Dave?
I believe it is Saturday.
I will probably, I believe Saturday night, I've got the whole house to myself, so maybe I'll put it on the big screen and I'll root for Dallas. I never thought I'd say I'll be rooting for Dallas. They're just not a team that.
You got it. And then they got that race, and then they got that on ABC, I believe, tomorrow night, and then the NASCAR race will be on Fox on Sunday afternoon in Kansas.
Well, this is going to be an exciting weekend for sports. I know that the Boston Bruins were fighting for a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, they lost that first game, and I was thinking of you and your boy Wayne there with the Vancouver scored a goal with like 8 seconds remaining and 1-0. So I was listening to it on the drive back from Vegas, and oh man, that poor guy was probably stressed out.
Oh, Wayne is our, ladies and gentlemen, Wayne is our correspondent, New England correspondent. So everything he says about any of the New England teams, is going to be completely unbiased because he's our New England correspondent. That's sarcasm there for those of you who don't have your sarcasm meter turned on. But yeah, so he was there praying to hockey god in heaven on our DSP Sports page that the Bruins would win, and I feel bad for him because he's really stressing out over this, and I think all the Bruins fans up there, they have a hunger for the Bruins to finally win a Stanley Cup.
Hey, and you know what I think is good too? We're starting to see these hockey teams that went south, and ice hockey is not working in Nashville, in Atlanta, in Florida. It's just not working. So this week, the Atlanta Thrashers announced that they are going to move to Winnipeg where Winnipeg used to have the Coyotes there, which they were the Jets. They moved to Phoenix,
Yeah.
and it's not working out in Phoenix either. But so I think we're going to see these teams that moved from Canada to the South, and it did not work, start to go back to Canada, and they actually have a bigger fan base there. So I think it's going to be good for hockey when these teams start doing that.
Well, that'll be good, and I hope that personally on my level, because as much as I'm pulling for the Bruins to win the Stanley Cup, being a Patriots and a Red Sox fan, I never really got into hockey up there, so I'm a Blues fan, and I really hope that the Blues get their ship in order here and don't leave.
I agree.
But ultimately, you know, we've got this is an exciting time in sports, people. We've got the Stanley Cup going on. We've got the NBA Finals going on. There's NASCAR going on, and there's baseball going on. And we're not talking a lot about that right now because, well, we're in the middle of the season. So, you know, it's there's not a lot to talk about, you know, playoff wise yet. But we'll get to that eventually in some stuff. But David, it is a pleasure to be back talking with you again here on DSP Sports.
Absolutely, Don. It's been good, and I will be talking to you next week.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, until next week, this is DSP Sports for Don Stevens and David Beard. We'll see you next time.